Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Looks like my computer screen is moving, so I'm going to try to be still. Okay. Just going to make sure that we are live. If you're live, please say hi. Let me know that you are here. Let me get a chance to say hi back. And if you have any questions, comments, want some live coaching around whatever you're dealing with around today's topic, then as always, if you're live, you are more than welcome to share with me what's going on with you. Okay, so let me just make one quick adjustment. All right, good. It looks like we are live. Hopefully you guys can see me. Let me know how the quality is. As you can tell, I am in a new location. This will be just for today. I am actually in my nephew's room, and you can see behind me, we have lots of stuffed animals and lighthousey stuff. This is actually, so I am in North Carolina visiting my family, and I'm actually at my parents' house, but this is my nephew's room at my parents' house. And this is the best room for me to do this in today. So, and I'll be here for probably 2 to 3 weeks. So hi, Michelle. So, and you will probably see new backgrounds with me over the next few weeks. I don't think I will be in this space for most of the time that I'm here. So, all right, let me just pull up these comments so that I can see you. Hello, Courtney. Michelle says good quality. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so today, and I promise, hopefully the screen will stop moving in just a second when I stop clicking to get to y'all's comments, because I am here in the States. So good to see you, ladies. Okay, so today is part 2 of last week. If you missed last week, never fear. You don't really need to watch last week before you watch this week. So don't go anywhere. What we're talking about is mindset and action. And while Michelle, yeah, I know I said y'all because I'm in the South. So just a quick recap in case you missed last week, or even if you didn't miss last week and you would like a quick reminder, what we're talking about is not just mindset and action. And I'll just start this conversation with today's topic is called mindset or action, ? The trick answer is it's always both. It's always, always, always both. You can't, I just don't see how you can run a successful business without both. And yet, so often what I find in my coaching and what I find looking behind the scenes of all the businesses that I've been in, whether it was corporate or mine or a client's, is that sometimes we miss a blind spot, because it's a blind spot, no judgment. But sometimes we miss a blind spot and we're going after something for our business and we're only doing action, or we're going after something for our business and we're only focusing on the mindset aspect of it. And when you have a blind spot around one of these sides, it's a blind spot, it really will mess with your results, and it will mess with the other side of the thing that you're trying to do. So if you're working your ass off on your mindset and you're meeting with 75 coaches and healers and doing all this stuff and you haven't made any progress, it might be because you haven't actually done anything, right? I'm way oversimplifying. We're going to talk a lot more in detail today. But same on the action side. If you're running at your business 900 miles an hour and you're doing all the things and nobody's biting, nobody's buying, or people come across your space, stay for a minute and then go away, whatever's happening, there are lots of things that could be happening, but most likely, especially when you find yourself in a pattern of a business result that you, or let's just say less than desirable business result, something's happening in your business over and over again, it's probably something going on in your mind, in your heart, in terms of what's going on with you personally. And so Last week, we talked about how to know if your issue, right, with this, how to know if your issue is a mindset issue. Today, we're talking about how to know if your issue is an action issue. And so go back and catch up on last week. But again, we're going to have a different conversation. Same topic, different conversation. And today is, where might those blind spots be from an action standpoint? And I purposely did the mindset one first, because I think so many people in the corporate world, not in the corporate world, excuse me, in North America in particular, our culture values, highly values hard work, productivity, doing a lot of things. That's how we create value to ourselves. That's how we see ourselves as being valuable. That's how, right? How many times has somebody said, hey, how you doing? And that person goes, oh, I'm really busy, right? Like it's this like badge of honor. No judgment there. And you don't have to live like that. And so I think I wanted to start with part one being mindset, because I think that there's always more mindset work to do. I don't always think there's more action to do. And today's conversation is about how important action is and how important it is to take action. But please hear me before I even jump into that with, this is not about doing 9 million things. This is not about overworking. This is not about doing more action. This is about figuring out where to take an action in your business and do it strategically. And so often our jacked up mindsets will make us want to do all the things, or make us only want to do one thing in a certain area. Like maybe you're a little bit too afraid of being visible. And so you decide that your version of being visible, no judgment here, but let's pretend that your version of being visible is to post on social media once a week. No judgment there. But if you're just writing a written post and nobody ever sees your face, because maybe you're not posting promotions and you just have graphics, and maybe you're not posting photos and you just have graphics. It's been a long day. And you are not putting videos out there. You're not actually putting your stuff out there. You're just like posting once a week to tell yourself that you're being visible, and you're feeling like that's checking the box. And so you're like, well, fix the visibility thing, moving on, right? Maybe not. Maybe you got a mindset issue, right? So, okay, I'm going to jump in. Let me just double check these comments here. If you guys have a question that you want coaching or help on, let me know as we go. Okay, it looks like we are good to go. Okay, so, and just one more, I'm just looking at my notes. One more reminder, and I think I drove this point home like beating a dead horse last week, but the answer is always mindset and action. Like that's the secret, tricky answer to my question. Is it mindset or action? The answer is always both, but so oftentimes it's one comes before the other, or you do one and you like at mindset, you do your mindset work, and then you don't really realize how done you are with that, and you just need to take an action. So they go together, and you're going to hear me sort of explain that over and over again today, and you heard me explain that over and over again last week. But I just want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not suggesting that you only do mindset work or you only do action. Ever. Always look at your business through the lens of both. Today is through the lens of action. Okay. So my favorite first one, I think I said in my information for this live, I think I said I have 3 clues, but I'm actually sharing 4 with you because I couldn't stop. So number 1 clue that your mindset block is an action block, or the number 1 clue that you don't really have a mindset issue, or your mindset issue is never going to go any further, and that's probably a better way to say this, until you take an action. Clue number 1 is that you're so 100% sure that this is a mindset issue that you put everything in it. You invest, and this is where I've been in this place myself. This is where you've got, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 coaches, healers, therapists, et cetera, that you're working with. Now, if that's what you're doing, this is not a judgment. It's just, it might be a clue. It doesn't always a clue, but for some people, if they're having a hard time making traction in their business, or they're having a hard time making a shift in your business, I see this a lot. People feeling like they really want to do something big and different in their business, and that they first have to hurry up and get their mindset straight first before they can do anything, right? If you're running around doing all the things from a mindset perspective, and you find that look at your calendar. This is always a good way to see that. Look at your calendar and how much time in your business, or how much time on your calendar, is dedicated to regular business tasks, meeting with clients if you're a client service provider, creating your products if you're a product creator. Hello, Courtney. Versus personal growth. If you should have personal growth on your calendar, but if it's like 80%, 60% of your calendar, you might want to think that through. If you're going through a big, huge life something, then that might make sense, right? But for an average, person continuing to work on their personal growth, an average person who also has a business coach. I have a business coach. I walk my talks, really, really important. I work with a business coach, and I have another coach. So this is not about, it's not okay to work with multiple people. This is about, are you taking that shit to the extreme? I see that a lot with those of you who are, which is all of us in this group, heart-centered people. And I personally, I love to talk about myself. I love to geek out about personal growth. I love to work with people who help me grow as a person. And you probably too. There's a lot of us here, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. That's partly how I make my living. And if it's all of that, you're probably missing action. And I also see this a lot of times with people who, like me, when I first started my business, I was fresh out of corporate and a little bit still PTSD from the culture and environment that was very not male dominated, but like masculine dominated energy, a lot of go, 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 a lot of do. And I was effing determined not to run my business that way. And so I swung the pendulum in the beginning of my business. I swung the pendulum all the way to not only serving people with mindset, right? Now I'm a business coach and a mindset coach, but that in the beginning, I was only working with people around mindset, which, by the way, I think was appropriate for me in that moment. And I was determined to do it really calmly and really slowly. But I oftentimes back then, I would err on the side of not taking action because I was so determined not to do that crazy hard work stuff and to hustle and run that sometimes I didn't do anything. And the clients didn't come when I didn't do anything, guys. That's not a secret. So if you are over indulging, and I'm being a little bit dramatic, but if this feels even remotely like you, then it's a worthy look of, again, it's a really easy tell if you just look at your calendar. How much are you doing from a mindset perspective? And do you still feel stuck, or are you still kind of like looking for the one, guru that will finally break your money blocks open? This is a common one that I see in the spiritual community. It's like, well, I'm not making any money, so clearly I have a money block. Excuse me. And so I better go do this healing and get this person to work with me and light a candle and do these 75 affirmations and do, right? If you're not like promoting your work, I'm being dramatically simple. That's why you're not making any money. It's an action thing. Now, is there a mindset issue behind that lack of action? Yes. But what I like to tell people when you're stuck in that space is just start moving forward. I did a whole live stream here in the group a couple of weeks ago about clarity and why it's overrated and how it keeps you stuck. And this is a little bit, I'm bleeding in a little bit to the next couple of clues, but so oftentimes we don't move forward in our businesses, and this happens in life too, because we think we need clarity. And the easiest way to find clarity so many times is just to take a baby step in a direction, experiment, play with something. You don't have to like make a plan. Thank you for the hearts. You don't have to make a plan, in detail, hire 10,000 people and then start executing, right? You can start with a step and see how it feels and then adjust from there. I did this when I was looking to move to the island. I just went there for a minute. I looked around. I thought about, actually, when I moved to San Francisco, I went and looked around. I looked at apartments. I thought about what it might feel like to move to San Francisco. What might it feel like to live here? Is this a neighborhood I would want to live in? What are people doing here? How does this feel for me? Can I get the food that I want, right? I didn't have to decide whether to move there. And I just had to decide to take a baby step to go feel it out further. Okay, well, if it's not here, maybe it's another city. Is there a place outside the city that I want to look at? Whatever it is, right? Baby step action. So if that's speaking to you, please go watch the clarity, why clarity is overrated and why it's keeping you stuck live stream from last few weeks ago, maybe. Okay, so if you think your issue is a mindset issue only, you're probably missing action. And probably same. If you think your issue is an action issue only, you're probably missing some mindset stuff. Okay. Let's see. Was that all I wanted to say? Let me know if this is making sense. Is that all I wanted to say with the mindset number one? Yeah. I'm going to do this one. No, I'm going to stay with number two. Okay. So clue number two. So clue number one is you're throwing everything you got and then some at mindset, and you think that's clearly your only issue. Again, the one I love is when people tell me they have a money block. There's absolutely truth to that. And I feel that when I work with people. And so often the only way to blast through a money block is to start taking some action. Start taking some action. Okay, my favorite number two is I have to do this before I can do that. And again, I was bleeding into this whole aspect of this whole idea that you have to have clarity. This is one example. I have to have clarity before I can do anything, right? So I have several clients right now that are either starting a second business and transitioning all the way to that second business, or starting a second business and transitioning to a space where they can run both at the same time. So if you're full-time on one business and you create another one, obviously you're going to have to bring some people on, right, to help you. If any of them were to have decided that they had to have full clarity about everything they wanted from this second business, it would never get off the ground. It just would never have gotten off the ground. And because most of them were continuing to run business number one as they shifted into business number two, and all of them had a plan, but also had a graduated transition plan where they gave themselves, it wasn't like they, flipped the switch and one day they quit that job and then the second day they moved over to the new one, right? There was a significant period of time where both were happening at the same time, and they were transitioning out of part of their role on one and entering their role into number two. If they decided that they had to have all of that figured out, especially if they felt like they needed to know all of the different offerings in the new business in order to get it off the ground, they never would have gotten it off the ground. Because number one, they had to keep doing business number one. Number two, they didn't have the space and the time to execute, let's say they moved into a coaching practice as business number 2 and they wanted to have 3 offers. They did not have time for 3 offers and they did not have an audience. So best for them to start with number 1. They didn't have clarity on offer number 2 and offer number 3, for example. Doesn't matter. It wasn't time to create offer number 2 and offer number 3 anyway. So we just got started with offer number 1, the one that was clear, the one that would be able, and you only really need one thing to start your business with. And that was what gave that business traction. So thinking that you have to have clarity in order to move forward, there's the whole live on that. The other example that I want to share, I like this one. Okay, I've been working on my mindset. I'm going to finally do my first Facebook Live, or I'm going to put some new, so if you're new to business and it's like your first Facebook Live, or you're new to this element of business and it's your first Facebook Live. Or I see this a lot too with people who've been in business for a really long time, but they are ready to either start this second business or do something new and different. Then there's this like, okay, great. I'll record a video or I'll put a live video out to talk about that thing. Okay, great. Very smart, very strategic. This is a good action to be taking. And then the mindset jumps in with, yeah, but I don't have a nice camera. So I think I need to buy that nice camera. Then I can record that video and put that out, right? So if you don't just take that baby step action, your mindset is going to pull you out every time. Letting yourself take that baby step action. Again, I have to do this before I can do this. I know this is a mindset issue, but it means that you're sitting in inaction. Let me know if this is making sense. So if you think you have to buy a new camera before you can do a Facebook Live about a topic that you're feeling vulnerable and nervous about, the best way to move forward is to just take that action. Yes, there's a mindset issue attached to that, obviously. Your brain's going to get in the way 9 times out of 10. Your brain is going to try to sabotage you 9 times out of 10. This is one of those really beautiful, sneaky ways that it does it, because the saboteur, we talked about this last week, the saboteur is like really rational and smart, and it's going to like lawyer you into telling you like how things need to be so that you can then have what you want. And a lot of times it lawyers you into inaction. And this is one of those examples. And so even in this case, if your issue is a mindset issue, the answer in this case is action. Order a new camera, great. And you can use that for your second or your third live, get going, right? Because that action step, that really, honestly, it's a baby action step, is really big for you. And it helps you blast through the action issue, and it helps you just keep moving forward. And it helps your mindset to start to catch up with your body. You can keep doing mindset work around it, but if you never take action, you're never going to go anywhere. Oh, the other one I love is, okay, I'm going to do this new offer, or I'm going to set up a launch for a new program, or it's time to rerun this thing. I see this a lot with coaches. And yeah, but first I have to get my sales page done on my website. Until I have that done, I can't even talk about it in my social media. Not true. One of the ways that we fold time is by letting people know about it ahead of time. You don't have to have a perfectly, yes, once you launch it, you need to have a sales page with a button so that people can pay you, but you can talk about it beforehand. You can just start getting it out there. And again, if you think you have to do one thing in order to do another, you're missing something 9 times out of 10. Okay. Yeah, or I can't take action. I have to do this before I can do that. I can't take action until ... That's another really, really big one. So if you just kind of boil it all down, it's like, well, I have to do this before I can do that, or I can't take action until I ... That's another really good sort of indicator clue that you need, that even if you have a mindset issue, you still need to solve it with some action. Okay. Okay, clue number 3. Let me know if this is making sense. Let me just check the comments here, guys. Hi, Lizzie. Okay. Michelle says consistent motivation. Motivation comes and goes. How to keep it consistent. Motivation. How do I want to ask this? How does this, I want to know, Michelle, is it motivation for what? Like, is it motivation to keep taking action? Is it motivation to look at your mindset? Is it motivation around your business at all? Like in general, like, I just don't have any motivation to work in my business? Or is it like, I don't have motivation for this action I need to take? Does that make sense? Let me know. Okay. Clue number 3 that you need to take some action is, and this one's one of my favorites. It's also one of the hardest because it involves you seeing your own patterns. And I hesitated to even put this on here because I think this is one of the things that I do for my clients and that my business coach does for me, because you just can't see the spinach in your own teeth, as they say. But I think it's an important one to talk about and to create awareness around, especially in the online community, because I think it's really, really common. And I think if you know it's a thing and you know it exists, it's something that you can at least look out for. If you don't have a coach, grab a friend, grab a partner, grab a business bestie, grab somebody that you can maybe talk this through. Okay, sorry, a lot of preface. Clue number 3 is that you think, how do I want to say this? Your mindset is a little bit stuck in an old chapter, or you think that you're still in an old chapter. You're still exhibiting habits from an old chapter or a previous chapter in your business. And you're not caught up to where you are in reality yet, at some level. And so you continue to take action and you continue to take action that relates to the old chapter. So let me give you a couple of examples because I think this one's a hard one. Yeah, here's a good one. A lot of times people are hesitant to spend money to invest back into their business, let's say to hire that first team member to help you. Yeah, I'd really like to have that. And I just don't think I can afford it. A lot of times I will say, let's look at the numbers, because oftentimes our brains are stuck in what it used to be like when we first started running our business, what it used to be like in the startup phase, or what it used to, and this happens, by the way, at every new big income level that you reach. I've got clients who are making under 100K and clients who are making over $1 million and over 2 million. And I see this across the board. You have to, it takes a while for you to catch up to the money that you're making. And especially when you're making incremental changes, it's really hard to remember to notice them. So much so that I find that most people underestimate what they're actually bringing in. And so, for example, to use my example of a person who's afraid of hiring their first teammate, yes, you might have a mindset issue around that. And that's really important to talk through your fears and your concerns. Maybe it's a lack of control. Maybe it's, can you allow somebody to support you? Maybe it's just allowing somebody into your baby of your business. Whatever it is, there's lots of reasons for that. That is absolutely a mindset thing to talk through and to keep up to date and healthy. But so oftentimes, people will tell me that they can't afford it, and they can. And it's just because they're not used to making the money that they're making now. And they're still making decisions from that old space and making that decision in the new space. And that doesn't fit. And so this is where one of those examples of, I'm staying in inaction because my brain is in an old chapter. The best thing you can do to get your brain caught up about the fact that it's in its new chapter is to take some action that represents that your new chapter, or even the chapter that you're bringing in next, right? So if you're making 100K and you want to make 200K a year, it's great to start making decisions at a minimum from a space of what a 100K person may, decisions that a 100K CEO makes versus a decision that a 50K CEO would make. And those are appropriately should be different. And you might also want to start thinking, what is a 200 person who's bringing in 200K a year CEO? What is that CEO? What decisions is that CEO making for the business? And start to track ahead of yourself to keep you growing in the CEO brain, in the CEO mindset, and the level of confidence as a CEO to get yourself into reality. Let me know if this is making sense. So that would be like an example of just how you spend your dollars as a business owner, and I mean spending your dollars in the business expenses, how you make decisions around your business expenses. You've got to make them based on where you actually are and where you're going, not on where you used to be. And that's a common habit. There's other things too, right? You may have systems and processes in place that do not serve where you are and where you're going because they were created beforehand when you were a smaller business, when you weren't bringing in as much money, when you were in an old chapter. They were created in that old chapter for that old chapter, and they no longer serve you. Classic example is startups managing client lists on a spreadsheet and not having a system. Same thing with like calendaring, right? I think it's really easy for people who don't have a lot of clients to say, oh, I don't really need a calendaring system because I don't have a lot of clients. And there's a tipping point at which you will have a lot of clients and you need to use that calendaring system. And oftentimes that step comes first. Create a calendar, like if you build it, they will come. Create a calendaring system. Get a calendaring, that is a hard word to say, scheduling system. And let people book on your calendar so that you can free up your time to move forward and just serve the people that are coming in. Or tracking your clients on a spreadsheet, it gets really hard after a while because you do have a lot of people, or even just people that are in your pipeline, or people that you've talked to, or people that you've communicated with. It's really hard to track that after a while. So using a system that actually meets you where you are is really, really important. And I see that a lot of times. And this is no judgment. You can't build every business can't start up with the systems and processes that it needs down the road. But you do have to find, I think, those choice points around, I'm building this business for the future. So I'm going to set it up now, even though I only have 10 clients. And I know that this will support me in bringing in 20 or whatever it is. I've got a good one from my experience. And then Michelle, I'll come back to your question. It's funny, I mentioned this earlier. So one of the things that came out of my corporate experience is I was really overworked. I was really overwhelmed a lot of the time. I felt like I was working too many hours at a really too strong of a pace for me. And it was really important to me when I started this business to create a lot of space in my calendar, a lot of spaciousness in my calendar, so that I didn't feel overwhelmed, so that I felt that I had enough time for me. And when I started this business, and I highly recommend, it just depends on where you are. If this is you, this is a good thing to do. The first thing I did when I looked at my calendar is I dropped in spaces for me to get the coaching that I needed. It's the first thing I did to fill up my calendar. I also dropped in things like my lunch and my workout and things like that, my meditations. And then I created, okay, how do I want to set up the rest of my time for coaching, for my business, for whatever I need to do? That felt good to me because I really needed to put my money where my mouth was with my calendar. So that I could fulfill that promise to myself that I wasn't going to feel overworked and overwhelmed. Great. Okay. That was 4.5 years ago. fast forward, I don't know when this was, but there was a point in time where I realized that I actually had more time on the calendar to dedicate. And actually, if I really think about it, I think in the last year and a half, I've progressively actually started working more hours per week than less. In part because I have more clients, but also because it just is what I want to do with my time. And it no longer makes me feel overworked, because the difference was the old chapter habit is that I was overworked and overwhelmed, working at a pace that was too fast for me in a job that I no longer loved. That's why it didn't feel so good, and the environment and the context and the too many hours and all that. But once I shifted to doing work I loved, I no longer needed to protect myself from that scary thing, right? From that overwhelm. Yes, it is possible that a business that you love can also overwhelm you, that you could also overwork in that. And that's absolutely possible. But for me, because I tend to err on the other end of the extreme, that'll probably never happen to me. And I also know, because I've played around with this, I've experimented with this for myself and my business, that I know that if something is too much, I know I have levers, and I know I have a team, I have support, and I can make adjustments to deal with something if I somehow accidentally overbook myself, right? Or I'm just working more than I wanted to 1 or 2 weeks or 1 or 2 months. That's not the end of the world, right? That's not a huge problem. But the huge problem that I used to experience of that overwhelm and overwork and being exhausted, it really was a problem. And my brain has had to work really, like I've had to work really hard from a mindset perspective to remind myself that this is not that. And so when I take action around my calendar, now I've actually opened up more and more space on my calendar to receive more clients, because I just don't have that issue anymore, right? But that was a progressive thing for me. And I thought I was in an old chapter. Clue number 3, you think you're actually in an old chapter, and you're taking action and you're making decisions around that old chapter. So what's the remedy? You take an action or make a decision that puts you straight into the chapter that you're in. Or if you're stuck trying to go to the next chapter, you make a decision from the space of your future self that's in that future chapter for your business now. That's the other little hint here. Yes, this one's really, really hard to see. This is a good one because it's a blind spot. All of these are blind spots. This is why it's good to talk to a friend, talk to a coach, talk to somebody about it, because you may not notice that you're operating from a space of old chapter habits, mindset, energy. And it's really, 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 really common. And I feel that in some ways that's part of my job as a coach, to help people remember where they are in time. It sounds silly, but really and truly, like, to help them remember what reality is right now, because it's so easy to just make anything be a problem in your business, and it may or may not be. A couple other things around this, because it's hard to see. Check your data regularly. Be looking at your expenses and your spend. Be looking, if you have a spending problem, be looking at the income dollars that you're bringing in, so that you can stay rooted in reality. I had a conversation with a client this week about it, and I just had her write the number down and look at it for a minute in our session. And she was like, yeah, it feels good to look at that number, because she hadn't actually realized the amount of money that she had brought in this year. And sometimes, because she was just used to not making as much as that number. And so once you get into a habit mentally of how much you're making, it's really easy to get stuck in that in your brain. And so I love to just have people write down their numbers and look at them, whatever number it is for you that you're going for, and whatever number it is that you have. It's really, really important to look at that. The other things you can track is how much space is in your calendar. You can do time tracking to see what you're spending your time on. These are other places and ways that you can understand if your habits are representative of current life or old chapter. And then, of course, always, what are you saying to yourself, right? So for me, that example of overwhelm and overwork, if I was constantly saying to myself, constantly saying to myself, okay, I can do that, but is that, I don't want that day to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel overwhelmed that day. Am I going to feel overworked that day? Like I would look at my calendar and that would be the question I was asking myself. And so that was my clue. Okay, I'm going to move on to clue number 4 and wrap up. But I'm seeing Michelle. Let me see. Motivation. Okay, so you're saying motivation comes and goes, how to keep it consistent. Just motivation for working in your business, motivation for the business in general. But would love to hear motivation for action too. Both are relevant. Okay, got it. So I think, Michelle, there's a couple things. First off, let me know if anything resonates from today. If any of these clues are affecting you, because sometimes motivation, I almost want to pull you back to like clue number 2 and say, do you think you have to be motivated in order to move forward? That could be one way to look at it. Just let that sit with you and see if that at all resonates. If it doesn't, let it go. Another thing is maybe go back to the mindset part 1 if you haven't listened to that one. Because what I did in both today and in last week is we talked a lot about these little blind spots. So if there's something, I think for sure, I know you're running a heart-centered business, Michelle. I think when that's not driving us forward, it's important to say, okay, am I still connected to my vision? Because no judgment. Like sometimes we just fall in love with something and we do it, and then we need to move on to something else. I was actually having a conversation today about this, that I think entrepreneurship is, in many ways, it's a challenge because it attracts people like us who are really, really creative and like to create and like to build and like to solve problems and want to do that from the heart. And that's probably what drives us. That probably is your motivation, I'm going to guess, Michelle. It's certainly mine. I have like a mission that I want to accomplish in the world with this work. And entrepreneurship attracts people who are so creative that sometimes they don't want to stop and just do one thing, because they want to move on to the next thing and create the next thing, solve the next problem, create the next thing. No judgment. This is why I'm always talking about how it's okay and actually really, really important to recognize that you have to evolve over time as a business owner. So both like growing in your role as CEO, but also with your craft may change and evolve over time. Most likely it does. And I think for me, motivation is one of those concepts that like the root underneath is always different. So I'm just throwing a few things out, Michelle. Let me know what might resonate, or take these and just ponder them separately. Or after, you don't have to, like, if nothing grabs you today, just take some notes and think about it. Because if you're having a hard time, like, to just take action in general for your business, for me, I find that there will be a type of action that I'll have a hard time taking. And then I have to look at, is that a mindset issue? Is it an action issue? Is it that it's just not work I should be doing anymore and I should delegate it to my team? Is it that that's going to be the next thing on the list for the team once I, bring somebody else on? Or is it just that I really, I'm struggling with this particular thing right now, but it's still the right action to take and it still needs to be me, right? Like and then it's just kind of like, okay, I can accept that I don't have motivation for this task, but motivation for the business in general, I think it's sort of like, what's happening? What's going on? Do you have motivation for the vision anymore? Do you have motivation for the vision, but you don't want to be the person to implement it? Maybe you need a partner, right? Like whatever it is, I'm just throwing out these questions and I'm going to just let you sit with them. Let me know. Also, I'm doing a free session, Michelle, right now, and you are more than welcome to, I'll put the link here in the comments when we're done. You're more than welcome to take me up on that offer and we can jam on this whole motivation thing for 45 minutes, you and me. Okay. Clue number 4, that your trick is to take a mindset action. Your trick is to take an action, is that you think you're not ready. You're welcome, Michelle. Clue number 4 is you think you're not ready. That happens so often. I find that one of the many benefits of coaching, business coaching, I see this happens with me when I'm receiving business coaching from my coach. I also see this with my own clients. Sometimes we just need somebody else to remind us that we're actually ready, because being ready is actually in entrepreneurship. When you actually feel ready, it's honestly, a lot of times it's like you're already behind. um, Feeling ready for something, you kind of only need to feel like 50 to 60 to 70% ready for something in order to get going in entrepreneurship. That would be my like biggest, honestly, like my biggest gift to you. Just do it. Just do it. And if you're stuck, take that baby step action. Go back to that clarity, the live stream that I did around clarity a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago. If I can find the link quickly, I'll drop it in here too. I talked a lot about baby step action is like one of the magic tricks, because you never are going to know everything. You're never going to feel ready. So just take a baby step action in that direction, instead of thinking that you have to get your mindset clear on something, thinking that you have to have a detailed plan, thinking that you have to do all these behind the scenes actions, like get your website perfect, get all this like back end system stuff done, blah, blah, blah. No, the absolute beauty of running a business online is that you can go, oh, I want to do this. Bing, bang, boom, pop a little something on social media and it's out to however many millions of people, right? It's super, it's such an opportunity. You do not have to feel ready. And that's not to say that it's not important to deal with, because today's not really about mindset. That's not to say that it's not important to deal with your feelings and your worries around readiness and around whatever vulnerabilities you have for doing this thing that you're wanting to do that you're not feeling ready for. And the more you allow yourself to take some baby step actions, the more you allow yourself to just move forward in action and get out of inaction, the more you allow yourself to experiment, the more like that not readiness thing and feeling, it's kind of a moot issue because you're already in it and you can just go. And that action, that is where action is how you break through mindset issues. Mindset is important to pay attention to. We never want to sweep our feelings under the rug. Mindset work is a huge piece of the work that I do. And it has to go with action, because you can't just talk about it all the time. You do want to talk about it. You do need to talk about it, and you need to take some action. And when you do, you find that then you're no longer listening to your fears. You're not letting your fears and your feelings and your worries and your not readiness keep you from running a business that you love, keep you from the people who need you to serve them, keep you from the people who are looking for you and your service or your product, or your organization. Those people are out there. And the reason that I say everything I say today is because if you don't take an action, if you're stuck in inaction, they're never going to get to you. They're never going to find what you have. And I want you to make some money from that. And I want you to be fulfilled from that. But I also want, and I know that you want them to receive the thing that you've created, because that's your mission. That's your vision. That's how you make it all happen. And it doesn't mean, again, back to the beginning of this conversation, it doesn't mean, hard work and doing 75 things and throwing spaghetti at the wall and killing yourself. It doesn't have to be that way. Action can be baby step action. Sometimes it's the most powerful action you can take is a little tiny baby step in a new direction, or a new direction for you. Using that example, it can be something as small as your first Facebook Live or your first video about this new thing that you have. So often that action is even more for you than for them at first, that first baby step action. But it gets you out there, and it gets those people to be able to see you. It gets those people to be able to benefit from what you have offered in the world. Okay, I'm just going to double check. I think I had 2 more points I wanted to make. Yeah. So I want to just share one other example of that. Like when I was a little kid, I liked sort of, uh, I don't know, scary, daredevil-y things like high dives and roller coasters. And I was really into gymnastics and I liked that kind of stuff, but I always felt nervous jumping off the high dive. And I don't know that they even have high dives anymore because I think they're probably too dangerous. But back when I was a kid, we used to have a high dive and at the pool. I would climb up there. I would want to go. I would have done it before. I always knew what it was. And it always made me a little scared. And it always, once I like climbed all the way up there, it was always like, shit, this is a little higher than I remember. Right. And that would make me even more nervous. And one of the things that was always really helpful for me is that, especially because I was a little bit of a people pleaser when I was younger, so I would want to stand up there and feel ready, right? You want to feel ready before you do something freaking scary. But there was a line of people, a line of kids waiting for their turn to jump off the high dive. And I knew I was holding them up. And I knew that feeling when you were waiting in line, you were so excited to like get your excitement. And you're like waiting for this little kid up there who's too scared and everybody's telling them to go. And like, I knew what it felt like to be those kids in line and I didn't want to do that. And I also knew how much I loved it when I jumped, but I never felt ready. I never, ever, 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 ever felt ready, even though I did it all the time and I loved it. It was really scary, right? So where in your business do you just need to jump off the high dive and my trick was always, I'm just going to count to 3. I'm not going to stand here till I'm ready to count to 3. I'm just going to start counting to 3. And when I say 3, that's when I go, not because I feel ready, but because I said 3. And because I've already just decided to do this, right? Where in your business I am like blah, blah, blah today. Where in your business have you already decided to do something? Maybe even something that feels really big. And you're just standing at the high dive waiting to feel ready. Dude, just count to 3. Go. That's where that baby step action, and really like jumping off a high dive it was harder to climb up. It was harder to make the decision. That was the scary part. Taking that final like literal leap in the high dive example is how you make big things. It's also how you make big things happen. It's how you got started in this business. I guarantee it's how you got started. You probably didn't quite feel ready and you just went, oh, I guess I'm starting a business. Get yourself out there. Take that action, even if it's a baby step action. Take an action that feels big to you. That's how you're going to bust through your mindset stuff. Keep opening up to your feelings. Keep paying attention to what's happening behind the scenes. Again, this is not about mindset is not important, but these are hopefully these 4 clues you can go back to and say, okay, if I'm stuck in any of these areas, the clue is this might be an action thing. So maybe I still have some mindset work to do around this readiness factor, but I'm just going to freaking do it anyway. Okay, so just a review, you think it's all mindset or mostly mindset, that might be your clue that you just need to take some action. You can keep working on that mindset issue, but if you recognize what you're working on and you can just go find some baby step actions to counteract that mindset issue. If you're afraid of being vulnerable, go get out there, right? Whatever, visible, go get out there, record a live, whatever. And then that whole idea of like something has to happen first, whether it is I need to feel ready in order to take an action, whether it's I have to do something before I can do something else, or I have to have clarity before I can take action, right? I can't take action until this all feels clean and good. No, take some messy action, just experiment, get it out there. And then the other one is taking action that's really lined up with an old chapter, not lined up with either the chapter you're in or the chapter that you're going in. Those are the other things that we talked about. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me on a Thursday. Our Facebook posts, I don't know if anybody else is having, I know several companies besides mine that are having issues with the Facebook scheduler. So apologies if you thought I was going to go live last week, or if you thought I was going to go live on Wednesday yesterday. I was traveling Next week, we are back to Wednesdays. So I will see you at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Reminder that I still have free coaching sessions available. If you want to talk about any of these things, do I have a mindset issue? Do I have an action issue? What actions can I take to use Michelle's example, to feel more motivated? That's one thing we can do. So whatever's going on in your business, I'm really, really, really excited to help you to jump into your next chapter, whether it's mindset or action, and you don't even need to know which it is. We'll just powwow on it. So I'll put the link here in the comments. And then I will see you same time, same place next week. Actually, next week is the live coaching. So we'll be doing a live Q&A. So if you're live, bring something that you want coaching on, and I will give you free coaching during the call. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Have a lovely day, and I will see you next week.